This is Robert from theinsidesalesguy.com. Today I want to continue the talking I've done about how to find the right people for your sales organization. So I've in previous posts talked a little bit about what qualities I look for in new people to add to the sales team. What are the top 3 qualities to look for? I've also talked a little bit about one of the things I see successful salespeople doing on average, one of the most important things to do if you want to be successful in sales. Today I want to talk a little bit about how much value we can get out of looking at the resume of potential salespeople. So this is super important when we look at hiring new talent to our sales department. So we're going to set up 2 scenarios or 2 different examples. In one example, you're going to have a super salesperson. The best salesperson on planet Earth, but this salesperson is selling a solution that are having a very bad product market fit. So that could be DVD players, for instance, right? I don't think that's the coolest thing to sell these days. It could be working at the postal service or something like that. Example number 2 is where you have a super bad salesperson. So this is the guy who have 0 activity, couldn't handle objections if his life depended on it, couldn't close, can't do anything right. But this person is representing a solution that has an absolute magical product market fit. That could be the iPhone in 2007, it could be selling IBM mainframes in the 1780s, it could be selling Salesforce or any other of the solution that has basically really changed the entire industry. So if we take those 2 examples and look at which one of these 2 salespeople would look most successful, there's no doubt that salesperson number 2 would look significantly more successful than salesperson number 1. Now that's basically because in sales you can only affect the trajectory of the product you're representing, right? So if you take a product that is declining a lot and you add the best sales guy in the world, or I guess best salesperson in the world, they can only make it flatline a little bit or remove the curve a little bit so it doesn't drop as heavily. On the other end of that spectrum, if you take the worst salesperson on the planet, they can really fuck up a magical product market fit. So this poses an interesting, let's say, challenge for us when we hire people coming into our organizations. And this is one of the places where I really believe that we in the hiring process can do something much better than we do today. So on one end, if you look at the resume of a salesperson number 1, so this person would be the person of the 2 that will be most successful if you actually hire them, right? But how do you figure that out? So one of the things that I always look for is the companies that this person has worked for, are they successful companies? So if you have a person that has worked at, let's say, mediocre companies that are not very successful, companies that, you know, might even have been very unsuccessful and has gone bankrupt, and he has been doing well. You can be damn sure that this person has super skills in sales because they haven't gotten a lot of help from the ecosystem of the company. So anytime that I see a resume with somebody who comes from unsexy businesses that hasn't done anything interesting and has been successful, for me that's a very good sign. Take them in and talk to them every single time. On the other end of that spectrum, there's the no-goes, the people that we should really watch out for. So these are people that tend to look like superstars. You will see them having been 10 years in Microsoft or 10 years in IBM or 20 years somewhere, looking like superstars, might even have gone up and had senior management positions, but being put into a new environment, completely incapable of doing, you know, page 1 business development. The reason these guys or these people are super dangerous because they're usually very expensive, and you usually put them into leadership position in companies. So they can really fuck your shit up really bad. And what tends to happen, and I know this from experience, is that you hire them, you pay them like a superstar, they look like a superstar. Most of them are skilled enough to fake it through the interview process, but because you look at that resume, they come from these awesome companies that has been super, super successful. And what you really want to do, you want to take that recipe and you want to take it into your company. And what you're really hiring is a guy who has no clue what they did well in his old company, but who was just busy hanging onto the rocket as it flew through the air. In that situation, you end up paying a lot of money for somebody who don't contribute a lot. And in many cases, you end up in the worst possible scenario. That you take them in, you pay them like a superstar, and they perform on average maybe. They perform just enough that you can't really justify going in and fire them, getting rid of them and finding somebody else. But they're still not they're way away from the level that you thought they would be at. So they end up in that middle segment where you just consistently pay them too much, and it's hard to really get rid of them. So two things I think is really, really important when we look at new salespeople. Look at the resume, figure out the companies they have been to. Are they successful companies by themselves? If it is not successful companies, there's a high probability the salesperson is super, super skilled. If it is super successful companies, it could be a super skilled person, but you could also end up having one of these people that don't really know how to do sales. That was my 2 cents on what we can use the history of candidates for when you hire them. Any question, anything you want me to elaborate, let me know. Take care of that. See you.